Hello and welcome to my channel, or if you're already a subscriber, welcome back. I wrote a novella for the sake of Christmas and have forgotten to promote it, so I'm doing that very thing now. The novella I wrote, the name is A Sweet Christmas, and I wrote it under the inspiration of the Hallmark Christmas movies, movies I unironically love. Like I can't explain why I love them so much. And I guess as a sort of challenge to myself, I decided to see if I could write a novelized version of one of these, and the result was A Sweet Christmas. The story follows this woman who is returning to her hometown to celebrate Christmas with her family, and she quickly discovers how much things have changed and how tragic it is. But anyway, this is the first half of the first chapter that I will be reading here. If you are interested at all in reading further, it can be found on Kindle, paperback, hardback, and, well, 'tis the season. So I will put all of the links in the description, and I hope you enjoy this reading. Hot and sweet, Gloria shouted as she stretched out her arms to the high ceiling, really adding an exclamation point as she expressed her enthusiasm to the room. This Valentine's Day, let's try something a little more daring. Spicy chocolate is a rising trend, and we could lead the charge this season. She directed everyone's attention to the PowerPoint being displayed along the far wall of the boardroom. The charts, statistics, and expected sales had all been discussed and analyzed. Now was the time to get them excited and willing to really see what she had to offer. What better way than to see for themselves? I've brought a small sample of what I'm talking about. Glowing on the white bare wall, the men and women of the board were greeted with photos Gloria took herself of her homemade and admittedly not very glamorous chocolate pastries. The little pocket squares were made out of store-bought phyllo dough and were delicately seasoned with red pepper powder, which was hiding its heat deep within the darkness of the silky chocolate as it slowly seeped down to the plate. In the middle of the table sat the very makeshift pastries displayed on the PowerPoint. Please, she encouraged everyone in the room, give them a try for yourselves. Gloria did her best to bring the recipe to life. Nothing too fancy, and she herself knew was nothing too impressive. That wasn't the point. They knew Gloria was no baker. Rather, she was an idea machine. She wanted to get them with the star ingredients. The sweet allure of the smooth chocolate enticed them, and the spark bite of pepper woke them up with a surprise of heat, and the phyllo dough kept it all together in a crumbly, crusty shell. Amazingly, and much to Gloria's delight and relief, an otherwise messy collision all worked together. The sweetness and the heat danced a perfect tango. They were hooked. Say what they might about Gloria and her little experience with marketing, but she knew how to hold the attention of a room, and her experience in business made her stand out. She only recently changed positions with the company when she came up with a new cookie idea for Easter. Here, as became her trademark, she was offering something new, exciting, risky, and even a little bit crazy. They liked the idea, they liked her passion, and the numbers supported her. She felt really confident about this one. Valentine's Day could be so stale, especially sticking with the same old, same old. Flowers and chocolates get pretty boring really fast, and boring meant not so great sale numbers. What's a company to do but try to spice things up? Spice, or rather heat, was exactly what Gloria had in mind. A line of pepper-accented chocolate pastries for February. A little heat for the cold holiday. This certainly promised to be something different to serve alongside the more traditional items of the holiday, something to turn heads and encourage those brave enough to give it a shot. With the right marketing, and with this flavor combination being so popular, they couldn't lose. I like it, one of the board members shouted, matching Gloria's volume. The men and women around the table echoed his sentiments. They liked her already. 5 years with this company, and she was still bringing in ideas the board loved. Mind you, we're going to have to change a few things, another board member began to criticize. This was to be expected, something always had to change. Delicious as this is, Gloria, I'm afraid these pastries look a little too, how shall I say this, homemade. Yes, Pretty Bakery had a standard for perfection, aesthetics mattered above all else. No one would want to buy the world's most delicious pastry if it wasn't pretty enough. Of course, I understand, Gloria agreed. She certainly wasn't going to be the master behind the food styling, but she was quite pleased to be the mother of the idea. This combination might bring out a whole line of other pastries and treats with the coming holidays. Gloria wasn't going to get too excited about it yet. She had to come up with more ideas, and she would. They were really expecting things from her. The board members were already shuffling their way out of the room when Gloria turned to her boss, Claire. She had a big smile on her face and was laughing quietly to herself as she and Gloria shook hands. "You got him!" she laughed. That was quite an idea. The two women smiled and basked in their success. "I've got to know, where did you get the peppery chocolate idea?" she asked, positively filled with delight. This little idea of Gloria's was going to keep their department busy for the next few months, and she was no less than thrilled. More work meant more money, after all. Gloria returned the smile and brushed aside her golden hair from the back of her neck and began to rub her muscles. The tension she had been feeling earlier now completely dissipated. "I've got to admit," she confessed, "the spicy chocolate idea came from this bakery in my old hometown." Gloria could easily recall the odd flavor combinations from the old place. She found it so strange, yet it worked. It was such an unexpected surprise. That was what she loved about that old bakery. Deborah Downing, the head baker and fifth-generation owner, was always willing to take a chance. Some things worked, others not as well. Gloria was eternally grateful to her for giving her her first job. A scatterbrained teenager was probably not the most ideal candidate to help with the evening prep, but Gloria did the best she could, and Deborah was thankful for her help. She could remember her bright smile, her excitement when the different holidays rolled around. Deborah didn't need much of an excuse to try something new. When Gloria graduated from high school, thus ending her part-time job at the bakery, Deborah, the wonderful grandmother figure she had been to everyone, had made a special apple tart just for her celebration. Despite what a crowd pleaser it was, that apple tart never made it to the menu. Deborah said it was because it was for a special occasion, and that way they'd always remember it. She was right. Gloria used to look up to her and admired her creativity and ingenuity for being able to make such wonderful dishes, all while using the same stone ovens the bakery had used since its founding. "Ah, yes, that's right," her boss exclaimed. "You're heading back there soon, aren't you?" "Yes, I am." Gloria's beaming smile was slowly replaced with a concerned frown. "You'll have to be without me until after the new year, I'm afraid." Gloria was more than nervous than usual about leaving work. She never had a problem taking a vacation before, but this time she had more than her job to worry about. Charles would be returning home with her this year. This would be the first time he would be meeting her family. She had brought home boyfriends before, but Charles was different. She really loved this man, and she wanted everything to be as perfect as possible. Gloria did what she could to prepare them and Charles for the meeting, sharing personality aspects, superficial likes and dislikes, and even some activities they could do together. She'd have to go over a schedule of things to see and do with everyone later, and this was perfectly fine with her. The more time everyone could spend together, the better in her opinion. Even though she was confident her family would love Charles as much as she did, she couldn't shake the nervousness, the unexpected. Apart from this unique pressure, she was looking forward to thinking about and celebrating Christmas, instead of worrying and planning for Valentine's Day sales. With a job like this, she was always thinking ahead. Now she'd have a chance to savor the current holiday and the present moment. Claire placed a warm hand on Gloria's shoulder. "We'll manage. While you're gone, we can do some more brainstorming about this hot chocolate," she encouraged. Considering the new approach to Valentine's Day the company would be taking this time around, a Christmas getaway was certainly not convenient, and they both knew it. Hot chocolate. Something Gloria was really looking forward to. Warm, creamy chocolate topped with slowly melting marshmallows on a cold December night while cuddling with Charles. "Well," Gloria insisted, trying to maintain her career-focused attitude, "if you ever do need me for anything, don't hesitate to call." Secretly, Gloria was hoping no one from work would call her while she was with her family and boyfriend. She and Charles had been working so much over the course of the last few months, she was looking forward to some peace and quiet, and some quality time with him and her family. Looking back, she couldn't really remember the last time she saw her family in person. Regardless, this was go time for her and her colleagues. All of their planning would be going to work, and the sales figures would help determine how well they did. Claire let out a chuckle. "Well, see you next year, Gloria. Thanks to you, we're going to have plenty to work on, and it'll be here when you get back." Gloria relented with a relaxed sigh. This was going to be the vacation she and her boyfriend needed. You're right. It's only for a few weeks. I'll be sure to have a good time. Enjoy your holiday, Claire. With a victorious smile, both from the success of her presentation and from releasing the burdens of her job, even temporarily, Gloria briskly strolled out of that boardroom and back to her office, trying and failing to contain her excitement. She felt like a kid again, leaving the school the day before Christmas vacation. Once inside, Gloria closed the door behind her and let out the squeal of joy that had been building up since she finished her presentation. Just one more hour to wrap up some paperwork, and she would be out the door. She couldn't contain her excitement. She had to call Charles and tell him the good news. As quick as she was able to move her fingers across the screen, she brought out her phone and dialed his number. She didn't have to wait long to hear the deep voice of Charles on the other line. Hey, honeydew, what's the good word? Gloria felt her heart leap at the sound of the pet name Charles had given her. After all this time together, he still made her swoon with the most simple things. His tone gave signs of concentration and focus. He was still at work, and likely in the middle of a project. Gloria knew how demanding his job was, so she spoke quickly. She was always grateful whenever he answered her calls, and was certain to not make it a habit to call frequently while he was in the office. Great news, sweet treat, she answered, wondering if the pet name she had for him had the same effect. They loved my presentation. Yes, Charles exclaimed. I knew they would, babe. Congratulations. Gloria smiled. So this means only a bit more time before we head off to my parents for a work-free, worry-free, fun-filled small-town Christmas vacation. There was a brief pause on the other end of the phone, and Gloria could feel her hopes sinking a little as she waited for Charles to respond. Yeah, about that. Gloria could already feel the frown coming. This case is a lot messier than we thought, and, Gloria let out a sigh. You'll be working over our vacation? Another pause. Yeah, I'm sorry, honeydew. You know I'd love to spend a carefree holiday with you and your family. No, Gloria replied. The last thing she wanted was for Charles to feel guilty. He was a busy lawyer. Of course he'd have a lot of work to do. That was unavoidable. Still, she couldn't hide her disappointment. Don't apologize. You know I understand. Charles sighed on the other end of the call. There was a shuffling of papers and a voice from another lawyer in the background before he spoke again. I promise we'll spend time together. Don't worry about that. A promise from Charles McCoy? She laughed reassuringly. That's as good as gold to me. With that, she could hear Charles smile over the phone. I love you, honeydew. There it was again. That wonderful warmth in her heart only Charles could give her. I love you too, sweet treat.